This is what I know to be true so far, the show that inspires you to awaken the magic within and consciously create a life you love on your terms. Join me and my guests as we share awakened experiences, the life lesson wisdom bites, and sacred practices that we've learned along the way to consciously creating the life we love. I'm your host, Kerriann Mackenzie, a multi-passionate mystic, a creative, a nature connector, a soul-led business owner, and a spiritual magic maker. I'm so grateful to have you with me on the journey to awakening the magic within with what I know to be true so far. Hello and welcome to another episode of What I Know to Be True So Far. I'm looking forward to this episode today because it's one of my favorite things to do in my life, and it's one of my favorite things to do with my clients, and that is to know when you are sabotaging your success. When things are going really well in our life and we start expanding into higher levels of love, joy, abundance, and creativity, instead of going with that flow and just welcoming in all the wonderful things that are coming to you, we have this sneaky little thing in our brain, our egoic structure, that likes to keep us exactly where we are and not move us into uncomfortable places, into new things, into expansion. It wants to keep us very much the same. It doesn't like change. And consciously and unconsciously, sabotaging things come up. And now sabotaging can look like many things. For me, sabotaging is losing sight of my goals and being easily distracted by things. Doesn't necessarily have to be, for me, like a shiny new object, not that kind of distraction, but just placing more priorities on other focused areas for other people instead of concentrating on things that are good for me and moving my needle forward. An example of this is letting people overstep the boundaries that I've set in place, and then I just over deliver in areas that I previously set a boundary in. And then that takes away from being able to put the energy into what it is that my goals are or what it is that I'm focusing on. Another really, really popular sabotaging behavior that I see a lot in some clients I've worked with who have a tendency towards drinking alcohol. Some people have a tendency to be going really well and doing really well in their life with their health and their relationships and their work. And then all of a sudden they just go on like a bender, and that bender turns into a few more wines in the evenings when they pick up the kids, or there is something that happens that causes them to start picking up a heavy drinking pattern again. And when I say heavy drinking, I consider any more than 2 glasses of wine heavy drinking, because that's kind of moving you into that unconscious space, right? Where your decision-making processes are not the same as if you were to not have any drinks. Another sabotaging pattern that I see with some of my single friends is really spending that time focusing on themselves, but then they get to that point of having a lot of things going really well, and then they end up settling for like a bad relationship situation or dating a person who kind of pulls them below their level of what they're trying to achieve and create in their life. I have a lot of clients in the marketing aspect of my business who go through this process of creating some momentum and some success in their business. And then the sabotaging pattern might look like just falling off the radar for a few weeks. Everybody has their own personal brand of sabotaging. And when you kind of get to this place of really having a heightened sense of self-awareness, you can catch the sabotaging behavior before you fall into the trap of doing the sabotaging actions. So you can kind of come to this place where you notice when you're hitting this space of this upper limit, or you're hitting like that new level of success in your life, business, spiritual journey, wellness, health, whatever it is that you're working on or working towards. When you have that really deep awareness of yourself, you're always like preempting what's going to happen and the sabotaging patterns that are going to play out for you. And when you get really great at this, you are able to navigate things and propel your expansion into a quantum leap without it affecting you and your capabilities of keeping up with the new version, the new levels of abundance, the new levels of love, the newness, right? So you kind of go through that process of deep self-awareness, and then you start to learn a lot about who you are and your personal brands of sabotaging patterns and behaviors. You catch them, and then you can move beyond them. But not only moving beyond them, when you've gotten to that new space, because I promise you, the new space of up leveling, when you get there, it feels uncomfortable as fuck. It feels very uncomfortable, even when it's good. Even when it's so good, it feels uncomfortable to be there. But when you go through this process and the way that I work with myself and my clients, it allows you to be comfortable when you get to that new expanded place, because you haven't just bypassed the process. You've built this deeper relationship with sense of self and self-awareness. So you are more comfortable when you reach that higher level of love, joy, abundance, creativity, because you haven't just jumped there without that deeper relationship of self. You've moved through a gentle process of really understanding who you are and connecting deeply to your ego, that when you get to that new place and it feels uncomfortable, you can hold yourself there and sustain yourself there and not derail yourself, when you've been sitting there for a couple of months. Because there's a few levels with the sabotaging behavior, right? Your sabotaging behavior will kick in to stop you from moving into your next up level, but it will also, when you get to the new up level, if you're very uncomfortable there for too long, if you don't integrate well enough in that new up level, you will then sabotage yourself to bring you all the way back down. And this might look for some people like blowing their life up completely, but it can also be very subtle. So that's why I love working with sabotaging behaviors and patterns and understanding mine really well, because when you can, not only will you increase your ability to move into that new space, but when you're there, you can sustain it. And also you can implement things to move you then again up into the next level of expansion. Things to note on this. Don't be in a hurry. Do not be in a hurry to reach the new level that you don't allow yourself to slowly integrate what is needed of you to be in that new level. For example, if you are moving into a new level of growth with your business, don't say yes to the 50 new clients that want to work with you. Understand that this is my capacity right now. I need some time to hire more team. And so that's going to take maybe 3 or 4 months to be able to do that. Say yes to a few of those clients, map out a wait list for the other clients, and then have a system for when you do get that help to handle the people that you weren't able to work with when you got that new big leap, because big leaps happen. I'm telling you now, and they're terrifying when they happen. You will wake up one morning and you will have an inbox full of things that you never had before. And it is exciting and it's exhilarating and it feels amazing. But if you jump in too quickly to that growth and you haven't got your system set up and you haven't got your things in place, you're not going to be able to sustain that. And so the sabotaging behaviors and patterns will come at you in a really freaking big way and make it even harder for you. So don't be in a rush to up level, and be mindful of the sabotaging behavior, and that saying yes to everything is in fact a version of sabotaging behavior. Another thing to keep in mind when you're navigating and exploring the sabotaging behaviors is to have a tremendous amount of compassion for yourself. Without compassion, love and kindness towards yourself, you will struggle. Beating yourself up over something might get you to take action. It might get you to move beyond momentarily. But without self-love, compassion, and kindness towards yourself, you will eat yourself away with that negative inner critic talk. While there is much research to show that a lot of people can achieve great success because they're trying to prove something, and a lot of the time what drives them is these negative thoughts about how they need to be good enough, that kind of motivation will leave you feeling depleted when you get to the place you're trying to get to. If you have self-love, if you have compassion, if you have developed a tendency to be kind to yourself with your inner words, when you reach that place of moving past a sabotaging behavior, you're going to be able to sit in that place with a lot of love and satisfaction and comfortably know the contentment that you feel is genuine and it's going to be sustainable for you. Another thing to consider when you're processing sabotaging behaviors or you're trying to not avoid them because we just need to move through them, but when you're trying to prevent them from derailing you, is having a partner in crime. It's not a crime, just having a partner. And this could be a friend, this could be a colleague, this could be a romantic partner. My partner is my romantic partner, Tim, because we're both super geeks on upper limits. So we talk at length about our sabotaging behaviors, and we even notice them within our own relationship and we address them together collectively as a team. But you can have a bestie or a brother, sister, like a sibling or another relative, or you might even have someone like in your mastermind groups or in your coaching programs that you just say, hey, like it's not an accountability buddy to get action tasks done. It's like a sabotaging friend, an accountability buddy to help you voice your sabotaging wants, desires, and tendencies so that you don't follow through with them, if that makes sense. Having someone in the journey with you when you're up leveling to share that sabotage that you're going through or that desire you have to do something sabotaging can help you stop doing it just by having someone to talk to about it. It's like you are acknowledging and witnessing it within yourself, sharing it with someone else, and then you're both acknowledging, yes, normal behavior, normal desires, normal everything about this, super normal, not going to buy into it, just going to witness it, just going to notice it, and then move beyond it. And so I really highly recommend if you want to have a great year in 2024 and you're doing all the things, make sabotaging awareness and self-awareness around your sabotaging behavior one of your number one priorities for conscious expansion, because they are sneaky and they will get you and they will stop your progress in ways that you just can't even imagine. But the more you work with them, the more you understand them, the more you allow yourself to process them and witness them without falling into their trap, the more success you're going to see throughout the year. So I'm going to give you a really great process that you can start to use in your daily practice of really up-leveling your life. And if you have a very big time of growth coming up, or you know that there is the sneaky sabotaging stuff feels like it's starting to bubble up, this process, it's a step-by-step process you can follow every single day, will help you catch your sabotaging behaviors before they derail your progress, success, your life, all of the things. So this is something that I started using almost 6 months ago now, and I absolutely love it, especially if you are having great amounts of growth in your business or life. So the steps that you need to do it's really simple. It's just requiring a journal And what you're going to do is acknowledge, first of all, the area that you're trying to grow in. So you may be focusing on your health right now. You might be focusing on your prosperity or your financial growth of your business or something like that. Whatever area it is that you know you're working on or you're moving into, go ahead and write in your journal, what is currently working for me right now in this area? What is working really well for me? And then write all that down. And then just take a moment to pause and reflect and ask yourself the question, what's my usual sabotaging behavior here? Or what's my usual sabotaging brand? Or the thing that I potentially could do, would do, or feel like is coming up for me that could sabotage the momentum of growth that I'm having to move into my new level of success, abundance, love, joy, and creativity, whatever that is that you're working on. And then the third step in that process is to write and journal. What action steps can I do today to prevent me from stepping into that actions or that sabotaging behavior that I know is potentially coming up for me? And so when we do this, we cannot escape our bullshit. We can see it on the paper, written down in front of us, what's working, how I could potentially mess that up, and what I'm going to do to stop myself from doing that. And so the action steps that you do are really important. And they might just be something as simple as communicating to someone what my thoughts are around having these sabotaging actions. But they could be really practical things too. So you might be, let's put this in the perspective of not following through with getting back to potential clients. You might be able to notice that you haven't, like the thing that's working for you is that there's been some momentum in your business and you're having an influx of new inquiries. Your sabotaging behavior might be avoiding your inbox, right? And you might put into place the action steps of hiring a temporary VA or the assistance of someone to make sure that they're getting back to the influx of inquiries that you're having, or at least putting those inquiries into a scheduled call or calendar to have conversations with those clients or potential clients so that you can book them in or their projects in or their coaching sessions or healing sessions or whatever it is that you do work with. So you've got that support to help you get past that natural tendency that you have of avoiding getting back to those clients. And it's really important to do this process on a daily basis when you're having up-leveling work. Because if you do it daily, you can see very quickly what the tendency is that you have, and you can catch it and you can journal about it as well. So after you've done those three processes of identifying what's working, how you want to sabotage or what you're feeling you might sabotage or the way that you have sabotaged in the past, and then putting into place some action steps to not follow through with that sabotaging tendency or desire, you can then write about it and how that feels for you. And notice how you physically feel in your body. It helps you really settle into, if I follow through with these action steps that allow me to expand into my new level of success, love, joy, and abundance and creativity, how will that feel for me? What will my life look like had I moved past that sabotage and into those new levels? When we have that kind of reflection, it gives us an opportunity to see that there is so much value in working through and processing and integrating the new levels of achievement that come beyond that sabotaging tendency. So use this tool. You can actually even make this just part of your daily process. If you are really into goal setting and working towards your goals, you can use this as a process for your daily journaling. It's really beneficial. And as soon as I even just started this practice in my journal for a small amount of time, it increased my awareness so much that I didn't need to journal as much. I could just daily see what is working, how I want to sabotage, and what action steps to do to make sure that I didn't sabotage. And the amount of growth that I have had in the 6 months of doing this work, this active sabotaging awareness work, has been mind blowing. My life in the last 6 months, and my business in the last 6 months, and my relationship in the last 6 months, and my family life in the last 6 months has been phenomenally increased into new, higher states of love, success, joy, abundance, and creativity. And who doesn't want that? Your ego actually doesn't want that for you because it gets really uncomfortable. But your job is to make friends with that and move beyond it so you can have everything that you know you are destined to have in this lifetime, and you are deserving of that beautiful, wonderful, magical life. Sabotaging behaviors will get you every time. And what I know to be true so far is that when you can master sabotaging behaviors and patterns, your life becomes completely yours, and you really can consciously create the exact life and business that you want to have that gives you the fulfillment and the impact that you want to see in the world as well. Thank you for joining me for this episode, and I look forward to chatting with you soon. And in the meantime, take some time out in nature, come back to yourself, and keep on exploring what you know to be true so far.